to another weekend here on the platform. My name is Sam Omashe. My special guest today is no other than the governor of Sokoto State, Aminu Tambuwal. Welcome to Big Talk. My guest is Governor of Sokoto State, Aminu Tambuwal. Welcome to this show.
Thank you, senior brother Sam. Good to see you again.
Well, we're conducting this interview in the context of vast insecurity in the country, and Sokoto State is not immune. And I'm also conducting this interview in the context of vast development work going on. How do you prioritize in this context?
Well, the challenges are quite enormous. As I've said before, and I'm sure most of us are aware, the resources are scarce and the demands are just too many. So in this kind of situation, someone in a position of leadership is left with no option but to actually see how best he can select and choose what should be his or the administration's priority. So in Sokoto State, of course, just like any other state or federation, responsible, alive to its responsibility, for now, the first priority is security. Because you cannot develop without a secure and peaceful environment. So we are actually giving attention and paying attention, a lot of attention, to the security and the general well-being of the people of Sokoto State. Of course, you know, and as I do know, that the security of lives and property is the primary responsibility of government. And in our own federation, the federal government is given that responsibility more or less more than the other tiers of government. So we are complementing the federal government by way of ensuring that we support the security forces in Sokoto State with whatever we can in terms of resources, in terms of funding, in terms of vehicles and logistics.
Now, it brings a lot of questions into the fore, given our present situation with federalism. Federalism itself means that each state takes care of itself. Mm-hmm. But we know that as it stands, you are the chief security officer of your state. But many people believe that it is actually a sinecure position because you are not given all the complements to really exercise that authority. How does that now become open to real debate as you get into this very situation which you have to exercise the power? You are in an emergency situation, but you are also hamstrung by the Constitution and also by the capacity to operate.
Well, it's clear that our Constitution is having some lacuna, and there is a need for it to be expeditiously amended to empower state governors some measure of control and command over security outfits present in their states, and even the issue of state police is also bring to the fore the debate about whether we should have state police in Nigeria or not. Because as governor of the state and as chief security officer of the state, I can only ask and request, maybe mildly direct the CP or the garrison commander or brigade commander to carry out operations. But they will have to wait for final approval from the center. So you see the residual unitary system of government provisions of unitary government system of government that we have in our constitution is really hampering the effectiveness and function. Of how state executives can discharge their responsibilities. So we're having that challenge. So it calls for serious attention of the National Assembly, even Mr. President himself, and state assemblies for a constitutional amendment. So I advocate that whatever the National Assembly is doing about constitutional amendment, they may just single out these aspects that have to do with security and securing the lives of the people of Nigeria, to empower state governors to do something. They can take it out of whatever gamut of amendments they have and treat that one as a single item and deal with it and pass it on to the State Houses of Assembly, and then the National Assembly, the President may eventually assent, so that the governors can be empowered to actually take charge properly in terms of nipping crimes in the bud and in terms of protecting lives and property of citizens.
Yes, you have also recently signed into law the HISBA policy and so on and so forth. So people have said that, oh, you're trying to use it to bring a sort of Sharia momentum into the state. You said it is not. Can you explain how this ties into the battle against banditry and security?
When I signed the HISBA law the HISBA bill into law, I did explain to members of the public that the HISBA law had been in existence in Sokoto State. It was merely amended, and then we, this time around, ensured that we brought in all the services, the security services, in a committee under the leadership of Waziri of Sokoto, and then there are some leaders of the community, and then the Ministry of Justice. They sat down and looked at the law and made sure that the law does not contradict the Constitution. Our own HISBA is at best a complement to the services of security personnel in the state. And they are just to kind of more or less collate information, gather intelligence, and pass it onto the established security outfits in the state. And also, of course, as I said, under the Constitution, in our laws, in our extant laws, a citizen can arrest an offender while committing an act. So if you have a people that are possibly brought to do that in a more organized manner, under a command and structure, I think the better for the implementation of that provision of the law. So it's nothing outside the law. I can assure you that anybody who wants to challenge it can challenge our law the HISBA law in the courts, and you will see at the end of the day, you will see that the Supreme Court will uphold it as having conformed with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I made it clear that we are not establishing a Sharia police, and we are not establishing a state police. Yes, that's the position.
That's the best you can get to within the ambit of
within the restrictions of the Constitution. That's the closest we can go to complement the roles of the state security architecture. And what we have agreed at our Security Council is that we are coming up with a ward by ward. We have 244 wards in the state. Security structure, a combination of the police, civil defense, the vigilante, the HISBA, DSS. In every ward, we are planning to have no less than 50 people working together in synergy with the rest of the security command in the state. So they will always be monitoring and collating information, especially in these ungoverned spaces, in our bushes, in our forests. So suspicious movements will be picked immediately by this, and then they will report to our command and command structure, and then actions will be taken almost immediately. So we are coming up with that, and even yesterday at our Security Council meeting, we have agreed to set up this structure that will complement whatever efforts our security forces are
what you have done here goes down to the root of what many people believe is the problem with banditry in the country.
Yes.
And that we have to have intelligence first before deployment.
Without intelligence and information, credible information, you cannot deploy, because the forests are vast, the bushes are vast, and the human the personnel are very limited. And even the equipment are very limited. So if you deploy to a place where possibly it's just a decoy by the bandits or the criminals as it were, then you will be wasting resources and time. Meanwhile, they'll be perpetrating and carrying out their heinous crimes in other unsuspecting places. So intelligence is key and very important. And that's why we're paying a lot of attention to intelligence gathering and then synergy with the security services in the state.
Now, I saw that you have this ranching program going on in the state,
Yeah.
which you're doing. You brought a lot of cattle, some cattle from South Africa, and it's about 8 or 9 local governments where you have these ranches all over the place where actually multiplying and then there's crossbreeding.
Yeah, animal insemination.
Now speak to how these as now. How does this fit into the whole project of grazing and movement across the country that is causing quite some tension in the land?
Now, what we should all know is that even we here have been very worried and concerned about farmer herdsmen conflicts.
Yes.
Over the years, I can even say over centuries. It's not starting only today. So the immediate past government came up with this program. Initially, they were collaborating with some Argentines, bringing some of these cows and from Argentina, but unfortunately, the program got stopped and abandoned by the same administration. So when we came in, we reviewed the program and realized that yes, no matter the frustration in it, there is a need for us to bring it to full fruition because it will help address the challenge of herders moving around and moving about in search of pasture and then grazing all over the places and causing a lot of discomfort and security challenges in many communities. So we brought it back. We re-invited the company, the people that started it, and then generated some funding to complete the scheme. It has been completed. We are working now with NISAL to go into the second phase. We decided to now change the arrangement of bringing the animals from Argentina to now bringing them from South Africa. They've been brought, they've been given to farmers at different clusters for us to test the ranching and see how effective and how more advantageous it could be, so that our herders can now go and see for themselves, so that by the time you invite them to come and embrace it and imbibe it, with proper and practical education, they will now know that it's better than what they've been doing over centuries. So ours is a success story, and I will encourage you to go to 1 or 2 of those ranches to see what we have done.
Yes, I've seen one of them.
Very well. Now we have given these to farmers at subsidized rate, and not farmers to people who are already having some animals, and then we are doing animal insemination under the Ministry of Animal Health and Husbandry, and we're even inviting some other partnership from Indonesia also to have to test their own model again here in Sokoto State, which I wouldn't. I mean, I've been to their animal insemination center, very well packaged and well laid out program and scheme. So we're also working on that. I believe that to address the challenges of today, of herders and farmer conflict, ranching is the way to go. More so, it will give those herders who have the animals the best opportunity of having better meat, better milk, and at the end of the day, better outcome for their investments.
Yeah. Because the one I saw, they had the cows.
Yes.
Very fat.
Yes.
They are very big, and then there was the milking shed.
Yes.
And the
So
where they have to mate.
Yeah.
And areas like that. So,
very well.
So you subscribe to what Ganduje said, that grazing should be, the idea of grazing across the country is becoming obsolete.
It's not only about what Ganduje said, it's the reality of the situation. Look, as a people, as leadership, we must always look at our reality and then find solution. And clearly, one of the solutions is that we must confine our herds to locations. And that's why in Sokoto we have 17 grazing areas that we are now developing, so that all those herdsmen that are looking for greener pasture can go there, and it's part of the package for us to develop postures all around there for them to have where to graze, and then we minimize the conflict. So I also subscribe to the idea that herders going forward should stop grazing across all over. I'm not talking about limiting the freedom of any citizen of Nigeria from moving from one point to the other, but whatever we need to do to ensure that we minimize the problem we have at hand, and if possible, eliminate these challenges, we have to do them. In any case, where your liberty, where your freedom ends, that's where some other person's liberty begins. So we need to really do that, and we need to go back to the protocol of ECOWAS, because it's established that a number, I'm not saying all of it, but a number of these herders are coming from across some other West African countries. So we need to go back. I recommend to President Muhammadu Buhari, as did many other leaders of this country, we need to go back to the ECOWAS protocol, convene the meeting of ECOWAS, review the protocol. We as a country are having a problem with this protocol.
Exactly.
So review it. This movement, we must find a way of stopping it.
One movement that will give us peace, not trouble.
Not trouble. So I know that, yes, even if they are coming, the animals will be quarantined. There will be all that process, but we need to rejig it and see where there are issues and problems and address them with the protocol. So it's supposed to be a West Africa. It's a West African problem, from Mali up to Nigeria, from even Central Africa, parts of Central Africa to Nigeria. So it's even a continental problem. So African leaders must come together and work together towards addressing this challenge. It's affecting everybody.
Yes, a very, very important one. Then there was also, we have now been working in the context of schools being actually targets of these bandits going to especially boarding schools and so on. How have you approached this now with schools being targets? They have not come to Sokoto yet.
Yes, but with what happened in Kankara about 2 months ago, we convened a Security Council meeting and resolved to close all our boarding schools neighboring Zamfara, Kebbi, part of Kebbi that's troubled, and of course Niger Republic. We've done that 2 months ago, and with the recent development of Kagara and Jangebi, we've met again and we've resolved that all boarding schools in the state, except those in the capital city, should now be closed down. And then we send the students, because what we did was, after the closure of those schools on the borderlines, we moved the students to some safer schools and merged them, so the students will not lose their not only identity, their lessons, their studies. So what we are doing now is that every child will now go back to a day school that is closer to his community. As we finish now, I'm having a meeting with all the principals of our schools in Sokoto State, and I'm going to address them on the need for us now to go and commence this process of decentralizing our boarding schools and then accommodating them in our day schools in their communities. So registers will be open and administrative guidelines will be issued on how we are going to go about that. So you can see how it is having a major effect on the education of our children. Why we have to do that is we don't want to close down our schools totally. Otherwise, we would have the bandits that are becoming clearly in cohort with the Boko Haram would have succeeded.
That's where I was going.
Yeah, they would have succeeded. So we must not allow them to succeed. The education of our children must continue. It must continue, even if it means ensuring that we have some kind of shift, morning and afternoon shift for our students. It must continue.
Now, talking about education, I saw that you have some programs, especially for the girl child. Sultan even has been talking about it for a while, and you have this girls' academy that is got to a certain stage now. What is the state of the girl child in Sokoto?
Well, you see, when we came in, and statistics are very clear, Sokoto is one of those states in the country that are backwards in Western education, and particularly the girl child, and quite a number of out-of-school children. But by the time we rolled out our program under the emergency of, we declared emergency in education, and then we came up with the law making it compulsory and free for every child in Sokoto to be educated, and with the committee headed by His Eminence the Sultan on education. We made tremendous progress to the extent that I think in 2016, 2017, UNICEF came out to say that we have taken back no less than 15% of our out-of-school children back to school. This is UNICEF. Now, we are waiting for their next assessment to see how far we have gone. We have done quite a lot, and in so many local governments, when I met recently with education secretaries, the number of girls is really coming up. There are even local government areas in the state that are competing, 50% boys, 50% girls, in numeracy and retention in schools. So we are doing quite a lot, and we came up also with an agency for girl child education in the state. And that agency has embarked on serious, massive advocacy. And we're also doing some cash transfers to mothers who are of low income, whose daughters go out to hawk for them for a living. We say, okay, instead of your daughter to be hawking, let her go to school. If you have one daughter, you will have 5,000 naira every month. If you have two daughters, you will have 10,000 naira every month. But let them go to school. So cash transfers.
So there's no need for you to take them to the streets?
You don't need to take them to the streets because they can hardly even earn as much as 5,000 in a month. So that program is also being implemented by the government. And those who are indigent parents, we take care of their children, even their uniform and everything, and send them to school. So that's what the Girl Child Education Agency is also doing. So about the Girls Science Academy, the world is going digital. And of course, there are a number of science schools that we have for girls. But we decided to come up with this program in collaboration with the Korean embassy here in Nigeria to establish schools that are ICT driven, all girls. We're having 3 of senior of those schools with a capacity of boarding about 3,000 students per school, and then 23 of the junior schools in each of the local governments that are having a capacity of about 500 students. So, and they will be ICT driven.
This interview will continue next week.
At night, in Huns defined, the goons made girls their precious boon, the bargaining chips in a game of hide and release. Take the chicks. Officials first unfold the cash, then they discharge the girls. A cynical cycle only differs from yours. Lear, for Act 2, they return whole.
Thank you for being on this show. You can join me in my column at www.samomashay.com. And until next time, be good.